Last Wednesday, the United Kingdom Health Security Agency announced they are continuing to follow up on 3 cases of Lassa fever that have been found in England. But they believe there's a relatively low risk to the public. The previous Friday, they announced a death from Lassa fever and continued monitoring of people who had contact with the victim. On February 9th, they had revealed the cases were among one family, and they had been traced directly to travel to West Africa. They also stated that there had been less than 10 cases of Lassa fever in England since 1980. And it's another important warning about zootropic illnesses. Last Friday, the British Competition and Markets Authority issued a press release discussing concerns over consolidation in the veterinary industry. Now, this isn't the CVS that we here in the States are familiar with, but this is a situation many of us are familiar with. This company, CVS, owns 467 veterinary clinics and just brought an 8-practice operation called The Vet. The British believes that their country's 17 million pet owners, it's a market of £4 billion, could be affected by the fact that less than half of British veterinarians are now independent. This has a big effect because if you're independent, you can go to your hometown. If you're with a large corporation, you have to go where the money is, and that may not be your hometown. So they decided that it was okay for CVS to go ahead and acquire 3 of the offices, but they still have questions with 5 others in Bristol, Nottingham, Portsmouth, Southampton, and Warrington. And they are also concerned about these 2 companies, that their combined weight on the market in the area could push out regional competitors. It's a consideration that is the consolidation of many industries is something that we are going to have to face and are facing. Last Friday, the UN Secretary General's office gave a press briefing. I can't go through it all, but there were several interesting items I want to hit. The headlines were issues in Ukraine, Haiti, and Ethiopia, but then they discussed the organization's efforts in Afghanistan, where nearly 500,000 people received food and cash assistance this past week. Warm clothes and winter packages were also distributed. The World Health Organization is helping with a recent measles outbreak in 2 districts of the country. Sounds like maybe 2 counties were having issues with this. Relief efforts in Madagascar were discussed. Okay, Madagascar is still suffering from the effects of tropical cyclone Batsirai. Water, food, and shelter have been provided to 250,000 people, with 21,000 people directly displaced and 20,000 homes destroyed. But another tropical storm struck northeast Madagascar last week, and one more had already queued up to hit the island. They mentioned a polio outbreak in Malawi, the first in Africa for 5 years. And during the Q&A session, the BBC UN correspondent asked if the UN would help with the BBC employees in Iran, because apparently the Iranian government is harassing the BBC employees and their families.